The Husqvarna TS 248 tractor. What a great tool. Congratulations, you bought one of these for your property, and now you need to know how to take care of it, what the tips and tricks are, how to get the most out of it, how not to get frustrated when for some reason it won't back up and mow and it keeps shutting off. Guys, Josh with Carl's Mower and Saw, and today we're going to go over really quickly what you need to know on this tractor. From the maintenance, to the mowing, to the seat adjustment, to the rolling, all those things. Let's start with fuel. This is a gasoline-powered machine, and we always at Carl's Mower and Saw recommend using ethanol-free fuel. Gas today, what you're buying at the pump, as a general rule, is crap, and the shelf life is not there. So please go out of your way, find the right gas stations, and buy ethanol-free fuel if you can. It's going to help just solve problems, give you a much longer happiness factor with this machine. That gas is going to go, if you can see it right here, here's my gas, fill it up. You've got a fuel gauge underneath your seat, between your legs, to give you an idea where it's at. It can be a little bit hard to see. They've had to go to a more opaque tank from an evaporative emission standpoint, so you can't see it quite as well. I always recommend just filling this sucker up before I start mowing, because there's nothing worse than getting, out in the back 40 and running out of gas and having to walk up and get your gas. The walk of shame, right? So you get your gas can. Let's flip the hood here and let's take a look. We've got the Kawasaki FR691V, really one of the most revered, best engines out there for consumer lawn and garden equipment. And there's a few things you need to know about this to get the most out of it. The first, the most important, is the air filter. What? Not the oil? I don't need to worry about, yes, you need to worry about the oil. The oil matters. But the most overlooked thing that we see at Carl's Mower and Saw is the lack of air filter maintenance, especially as we get into the summer months and we're picking up a cloud of dust as we're mowing, right? We get done mowing and we look like Pigpen from Snoopy. Man, I love that show. Anyways, let's pop it up. Right here is my air filter lid, and we're gonna have our air filter right here. It's held on by just a little wing knob, and I'm loosening this hose clamp, and out is gonna pop the air filter. There's my air filter. Clean it out. Can I see light through it? If it's starting to look ugly, throw a new one in. This is the leading cause of death on lawn mowers, is lack of air filter maintenance. I'll tell you that over and over again. They'll not put an air filter. People will fail to put a new air filter in, or put an aftermarket one in, or not put it in properly, and this engine sucks a ton of dirt and you'll just roast the engine. So be careful with that. Spark plugs. Your spark plugs, it's a twin cylinder, so you have two spark plugs. One is right here. There's my spark plug boot, and the other is going to be flipping around to the other side, right? So we've got twin cylinder. Replace those spark plugs annually. Now, oil. Yes, oil is important. We want to run Kawasaki 1030 or 1040 semi-synthetic with zinc, really oil. That's what we use in these at Carl's Mower. And my dipstick, yellow dipstick right here, I'm going to loosen that. And on a Kawasaki engine, I'm going to loosen it. I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to set it in place. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to check my reading. I don't screw it in to check my reading. I just set it in to check my reading. After you've checked your reading, make sure you tighten that back up. And a little bit hard to see is my fuel filter. Okay, that's right down here. I would recommend replacing a fuel filter annually, as well as doing an oil change annually. Really in that 50 to 75 hour range is when I want to change my oil. If you read the book, I know Kawasaki, you're smarter than me. You say up to 100 hours. I have seen oil start looking pretty nasty by the time we get to 100 hours. So think of that 50 to 75 hours. And for a lot of people that are mowing an hour and a half a week, that's going to fall right in line with an annual maintenance. Your oil filter, if you come around, is hiding right here on the side. So I can take this panel right here off. So I can lift up, panel's going to come off, and there's my oil filter, okay? How do I change the oil? You see this little device right here, this little gizmo? Probably right on your mower when you bought it was this hose, okay? Hopefully it's still there, or hopefully you put it in a good spot. That tube is gonna hook on to this little nipple, this little coupler right here, and I'm gonna simply loosen this fitting on the end, this nut. I can use a big flathead screwdriver, or I believe it's an 8mm, it's a small little wrench, and I can loosen, and that oil is gonna drain right out of this hose. So oil change once a year. This is how we do it. Fuel filter change once a year. Air filter more often. Spark plug annually. come around to the front of the machine right here, and you're going to see a couple things that need to be greased. Turn this wheel so that we can see. We have a grease zerk right here on each of the front wheels, as well as a grease zerk right here on the front axle. So often overlooked are those two grease zerks, and what we'll have is serious bearing or bushing wear. And if you don't grease, you're going to wear those bushings out quicker. And if you don't pay attention to those bushings, you're going to wear those bushings out to a point where you actually can damage the wheel. So pay attention to those grease points. So paying attention to these grease points is definitely going to extend the life of your machine and get rid of some of that frustration. Here's what happens. I've actually seen people wear those bushings out so badly that it wears the wheels out. And at some point in time, they go to turn the wheel and the whole, right side wheel tire pops off because there's so much play in it. Okay, coming around to the side here, now that we kind of know some of the maintenance, let's talk about the control panel and what you're going to need here. So let me hop on the seat, and to start this up, I need to make sure that the blades, that's this red button, are off, and that the brake is pushed in. Push the brake in with my left foot, and then hiding under the steering wheel is my choke lever, cable, pull it out, and my throttle on the left side. So I'm going to give it some throttle, give it some choke, and I'm going to start it up, okay? Now, at this point in time, I can take my foot off the brake and I can push this left side pedal. The further I push, the faster I'm going to go. It's a hydrostatic transmission. It's going to start driving forward. Right side is reverse. I want to point out a couple things. This key switch, if you get in real close here, you're going to see there are 4 positions. We have a start position, so I'm going to, as I turn this key, it's going to turn it over, but as soon as I let go, it's going to default to this run position. Great. Here's the problem with that. When I engage these blades, I can mow forward all day long, but as soon as I hit reverse, it's going to kill this engine. So I have the opportunity, the ability to take and turn this key 1 to the left, and that overrides that kill in reverse mow. Okay, so at this point in time, I've signed the safety waiver, the safety document that says, hey, Husqvarna, you're not guilty if I back over something bad, right? Accidents happen, so you're taking that step. So key is it's going to default to safe. I can manually turn it to the left and allow me to back up and mow. And that's probably one of the biggest frustration points. People call, hey, my mower always dies when I put it in reverse. A couple other things that we can point out here. One is I have a cruise control. So if I push this forward and I lift up, it's going to lock that drive on, say, a 2.5, 3 mile per hour ground speed. If I come over to the other side, I have my parking brake. So if I push in on my parking brake, lift up on, let go of my foot that's holding the brake down, and now my parking brake is set. So as long as my blades are off and my brake is on, I can walk around this machine, I can empty the bag, I can move the garden hose that I forgot to put away, all that sort of stuff. My cutting height is set right here on the side, 1 through 7. That's pretty, I mean, I probably don't even need to point that out. Most people are going to figure that out on their own. That's how we move. We've got a washout port on the deck. This allows me to hook this up to a garden hose, clip that onto the mower deck, turn the water on, get on the mower, fire the blades up, and allow the water and blades to work together to clean the mower deck. It works very well. It works very well if you do it when you're done, and then you dry it off when you're done. So what do I mean there? This washout, great. I want to get done mowing. I want to give it 5 minutes for everything to cool off a little bit. Then I want to go back out to it, and I want to run that water for probably 2 minutes. That's going to clean all the grass out from under the deck. Now I want to shut the water off. I want to move the mower, and I want to run those blades for another minute. And that's going to dry the bearings out, dry the deck out, and prevent corrosion and damage to those bearings. So when I see this not work is people don't use it, or A, they use it and they don't dry the bearings when they're done, or they do it as soon as they're done mowing and the bearings are still hot. So, you got to kind of follow that process and you'll be happy with how this works. Last thing to point out is I have a dead battery, I broke a belt, and I can't move it. I'm stuck in the water. I got to get it out of the way in my shed, or it's stuck out back and I need to get it up to the shed. How do I move this thing, right? Let me take the brake off, and this thing will roll, but not very easily. We have a little lever right here on the back that I can pull out. Okay, And if you have a bagger on, it's going to be kind of hidden, but you're going to have this silver lever you can pull out, and now all of a sudden, rolls way easier. So there you go. You own a Husqvarna TS 248 XD tractor. I hope that this helped you get more out of this machine, learn some of the tips and tricks and ins and outs so that you can enjoy it for years to come. For more information, subscribe to our YouTube channel, stop by Carl's Mower and Saw, and let us help you power your outdoors.